Thank you very much for joining us, and a warm welcome to you. A staggering 1 in 3 women experience physical and sexual violence, while half of women killed worldwide were killed by their partners or family. And violence perpetrated against women is as common as a cause of death and incapacity for those of reproductive age, and that is said to be as cancer and a greater cause of ill health than, in fact, road accidents and malaria combined. Grim statistics, you may say, but the fact speaks for themselves, according to the United Nations, and that they cannot be ignored. Today, November 25, is the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, and to address the issue, this year's theme for the UN Day is Orange the World, Generation Equality Stands Against Rape.
Eh bien, Jerry, cette journée contre la violence faite aux femmes a une origine.
Well, let me bring you a quick reminder here. The origin of this day dates back to 1960, when the Mirabel sisters were murdered in the Dominican Republic because they demanded their rights. As a result, they became symbols of the fight to eradicate violence against women. And this scourge affects every continent and almost every country. In the United States, for instance, women face abuse in the hands of intimate partners every 15 seconds. In South Africa, a woman is raped every 23 seconds, and every 3 hours, a woman is murdered. And yet these acts of violence that are taking place in several countries on our continent have never aroused such much emotions. Why is the day November 25th quite unpopular in Africa? We'll talk more about this, and the spokesperson for UN Women in New York joins us now with more on this. We're happy to have you on the program, sir. Well, despite the global mobilization in recent years with movements such as the Me Too campaign and all that, sexual violence against women continues to normalize and take root in our social environment. Why do you think, or what do you think explains this?
Écoutez, je pense que, comme vous le soulevez, il y a eu toute cette mobilisation qui
I think, as you pointed out, the efforts of all these groups press home the need for these issues to be discussed over and over again. One of the major problems on the issue of violence against women and sexual violence, rape in particular, is the fact that often it's not reported. Global estimates, according to the UN, on these issues shows that only about 10% of sexual violence is reported to the police. And the fact that there is much mobilization with these various campaigns has encouraged most to report. And so we think that the two are directly related. So the fact that people have become aware that this is a problem, that is something that women must report, that it can go to the police, that there is support, it is simply not acceptable to commit sexual violence or violence of any kind, including psychological violence, is one of the reasons we have seen this whole campaign being able to improve.
Y compris psychologique, c'est une des raisons pour laquelle nous avons vu cette augmentation.
So what must be done in order to reverse this growing trend of sexual violence against women?
Alors, d'abord, ce sont des statistiques qui sont faites.
First of all, these are statistics compiled in a sample of countries, but we do not have any concrete statistics for the African continent. However, what I can tell you is that it depends on many countries. For example, in Tanzania, we at UN Women have a program with the police, and in every police station in Tanzania where there is an officer that deals with gender issues, and in particular violence against women. So any woman in Tanzania can go to this office and denounce the violence she faces. So in Tanzania, for instance, they are very advanced in this. And other countries like, for example, Switzerland, which perhaps is not less sure about some of these issues. So you really have to look at it in terms of country by country. And even if globally you associate figures of only 10%, much efforts and changes are being seen in some of these countries.
Monsieur Julien Pelot, vous à ONU Femmes, vous dénoncez.
Well, you denounce how women are treated, especially in films, in advertisement and all that. But some of these women consent to some of these roles in the television. Do you think that women have a role to play in solving this?
Alors d'abord, la première chose importante, c'est d'avoir des lois.
First of all, the first important thing is to have laws in
Il y a
place.
déjà 154 pays qui ont des
Today,
lois
there are already
sur,
about
les
154
violences
countries that have laws on violence and sexual violence in particular, which is one of the points that we are particularly interested in this year on this campaign to end violence against women. But this means that there are still about 339 countries, I should say, that do not have laws against such violence. And there are about 3 billion women and girls living today in countries where there are no laws against marital rape, for instance. So putting laws in place is very imperative. Secondly, programs that work, programs that connect services, the police, social services, and healthcare and all that need to be put in place. Because women who are victims of violence should be able to go to any of these departments, any government department for assistance. And these services must be connected to give a complete assistance to these women. Thirdly, we have to campaign to change the perspective of some men. We have to change stereotypes. We have to change people who have to change certain male mentalities. And that I said before, takes a lot of time.
Il faut faire des campagnes pour changer les hommes. Il faut changer les stéréotypes de genre. Il faut changer certaines mentalités masculines. Et ça, comme je le disais avant, ça prend beaucoup de temps.
This will take a lot of time, but it's an investment to be made. It must be made.
Qui doit être commencé avec les jeunes garçons et aussi avec les filles.